A walk in nature can be a time to relax, look at wildlife and plants, or get away from the larger world. For many in the past, and some still in the present, it is also an opportunity to look for dinner. Historically, much of Northwest Ohio was the Great Black Swamp, with dense oak forests, sand ridges, deciduous woodlands, and swamp meadows. Lake Erie and the Maumee River provided plentiful water, and the rich soil supported abundant plants and wildlife.
Walleye, white bass, steelhead, pretty much anything. I don't eat fish myself, I just give them away.
Here in Northwest Ohio, we can hunt white-tailed deer, ringneck pheasant, bobwhite, quail, and you can do squirrel, you can do the cottontail rabbit, mourning doves, turkeys.
These are blackberries. Blackberries are a huge species here in an open area like this in the prairies. There are wild strawberries growing right next to it. We're looking at a plant called sassafras, and this is a very small one. They grow into a tree about 60 feet tall. Getting syrup comes from a lot of different trees. In this case, this is a red maple tree, and red maple trees are one of the three maple trees that produce a decent amount of syrup or sap to make syrup. Morel mushrooms are kind of like the king of the mushroom in the Midwest.
For greens, you've got dandelion, you've got wood sorrel, you've got chickweed, you've got lamb's quarters, you've got wild amaranth. For fruit, you've got wild persimmon, wild plum, service berries, blueberries. You have nut crops such as walnuts, hickories, even some acorns, ground nuts. The list just goes on and on. We have a wood sorrel here, Oxalis stricta. It's a great beginning wild edible. It's easy to identify. It looks like clover, so there's 3 leaflets, except each leaflet is a little heart. You can see that. Little yellow flowers. These ones aren't blooming. Has a lemony taste, so it's good for the palate that's not quite used to wild foods yet. Black walnuts, they have this green shell and a very distinctive smell to them. Great in a salad, high in protein, high in fat. And another great wild fruit are persimmons. These ones aren't quite ripe. They'll eventually turn bright orange. People describe them as tasting like orange starbursts. They're delicious.
And let nature be the gardeners. Why do the work if nature's going to do it for you? So I think our pioneer ancestors and our Native American ancestors were well aware of that.
Native Americans used the area for hunting grounds and fishing to supplement their cultivation of the 3 sisters.
Corn, beans, and squash. And then they also had wild rice, specifically in the Great Lakes, a lot of nuts, and a lot of seeds. The predominant animal was the deer, and also the buffalo. It's a smaller herd, and the actual animal itself was a little bit smaller. And of course, small game, everything from raccoons, rabbits, various types of birds, turkey. I said an interesting item that grew in the Great Lakes and anywhere where there's swampy areas, you have the cattail, and the cattail was the Native American supermarket. It provided everything from food to clothing, textiles.
Early explorers to the region learned about wild foods from Native Americans, but they also drained the swamp to turn it into farmland.
In order to survive in nature, I think some people believe you need to conquer it and modify it to fit in. Whereas I think that's a fairly, I would call that a fairly Euro kind of an idea. Whereas the Native Americans probably wouldn't have tried to conquer it so much as to live with what they had.
Most food is now cultivated, but some people still gather food from nature.
I mean, we do, fishing as well as hunting, and so we will supplement some of our meat needs with the wild game as much as we can.
There's a younger group of people that are here in our communities now that are looking backwards and saying, hey, there's something out there that I know that you can eat.
Well, in terms of your ecological footprint, there's no way you can lessen it more than by eating wild foods. They're free for the wallet, and ecologically they're free too.
It's something that just comes natural to me. I have a Native American background.
There are a few that grow our own gardens and try and do some traditional hunting and fishing, dry our own meats, various things like that. And I think it's not so much to be traditional as native, but maybe to be a little more healthy.
I think it's good practice to be outside, and so you start being able to notice the natural cycles, and it's also easier to notice when something's amiss and what's going on.
Foods from the wild can feed us, but they also nourish us in other ways, connecting us to nature and to our past.